You bet. Tom Beatty. Here. Colleen Marshall. Lana Meston is absent. Michelle Shattuck is absent. Mary Mosier. Joe Morneau. Aaron Corey. There you go, Tom. I can do that. Can everybody turn their mics on and?
Okay. Okay, got it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, that is correct.
It's gotta be bright.
Right.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, were you gonna comment on that, Brian?
I added it to number
right.
6, and when we get down there, I'll go over that.
Okay,
Excuse
yes.
me. I don't know if the committee wants to consider putting volunteer hours on as a standing agenda item that just, or whether that's under city administrator or your report, so that we get those hours to report to council.
Oh, okay,
I mean, it's committee choice, but this would be a good place to have that. If that was a standing agenda item, then we could
Sounds-
every month, over and above, maybe over and above the meetings, you know, your meeting time and then any additional time. I think that might be important in the future.
and then you want that given to you to report to council with, or?
If you just address it at the committee and at this level, if it's a standing agenda item, people can give you the volunteer hours and then
I guess so it's
can go ahead and
recurring,
report it.
so it's on every agenda and it's brought up at every meeting, and that way the council has record of it.
And if you come prepared with your volunteer hours for the month, then it's easy to keep track. It doesn't have to be a big complicated.
Okay, so we have
Report.
Put it on the
motion to
agenda.
have that, okay,
Just put on the
put that on the agenda then. Vote on in a moment.
later.
Minutes. Everybody got the chance to read them, and is there any concerns?
I thought they were quite well done.
Lengthy this time, huh?
Yes, but no, I didn't find any inconsistencies.
You get a motion then to
Yes.
approve?
I move that we approve the minutes from the June 18th, 2024 Park and Tree Committee meeting as written.
I second it.
And all in favor?
I
Any opposed? Then the motion carries.
Abstention.
Yeah, you were gone. Okay. Okay, the minutes are approved as written. And now on to the mini business. And the first order is the bike riding on Booth Kelly.
Yeah, the last council meeting, it was brought up by a city councilor. There's some concern of allowing bicycles on the soft paths, primarily Booth Kelly Trail. And city administrator wanted this committee to kind of give a recommendation to whether they thought that that was something that should be allowed or not. So what you're being asked is to discuss and then recommend to council on whether it's okay or not. And then city council can take it up again in September.
We've had some near accidents with
And none that have been reported.
how about, is there any damage to the path itself by bicycles riding on it?
None that have been reported to me.
Okay, maybe one thing to consider might be the electric bicycles, or should there be any designation between?
I think they're just as safe as the
Either.
other ones because of the
Sure.
tires. They're less apt
Okay,
to tear it up,
right.
and if there hasn't been any close calls.
Right. I see no problem.
I think there's a lot of occurrence happening with bicycles down there. Is it kind of the same little bunch?
Well, I think that the primary concern was it was a, no pun intended, a vehicle for access to the area where kids have been doing the BMX track that is outside of the cities. It's on private property. It's not, has nothing to do with the city of Coburg, but allowing that use of the path for people to utilize the trail to access with a bicycle. By not allowing bicycles, that would eliminate that activity.
My question was, is how heavy is it used by bicycles?
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's a regular occurrence, if it's daily, weekly, monthly. I don't know. That wasn't
Do we know if it's just bicycles? There's been a lot of doodle bugs running around up and down the sidewalks. Has that been an issue down there?
it wasn't reported as anything other than bicycles.
Is that the little BMX track that's like in the middle of the,
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
and it's on the, so it's on the other side of the little swell.
That is correct.
Okay.
And if I can add, one of the things that, one of the questions I asked was if there had been any citizens complaints, and none have been registered. And one of the other concerns was the noise factor that bicycle use and the kids who ride them were kind of generating. Also, I mentioned the fact that Parks had looked at it before and considered it, and whether they want to go back and look at that previous recommendation and see if it's still effective. Does that make sense, Brian?
Yep.
I have a comment also. Since they have posted the legal sort of warning at each end of the path that using the path at your own risk alleviates, well, it takes care of the liability as far as the city is concerned, even if they are using it, from what I believe, when I understand, even if they are using it as a pathway to get to private property. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It seems that rather than make a blanket rule for all the city, it would be more reasonable just to address the BMX track there. And use this span to deal with it instead of finding another way to deal with it.
So there's really no avenue for us to address the BMX track
Yeah, it's
because it's
outside
not,
city
yeah, it's not, has nothing to do with the city of Coburg. It's outside of the city of Coburg. It's in the city of Coburg's mind,
It's not there.
we don't want to get in the business of telling people what they can do on private property.
Like our
I hope that makes
recommendation
sense.
that we held last time probably still holds. We have kids in this town that ride their bicycles. They can ride them on the sidewalks in town as long as they're careful with them. Unless we hear a lot of complaints about neighbors and accidents happening, I think the kids should have access to that BMX area. If that's what I think they should have access to the trail.
I agree. If it's not broke, let's not try and fix it, and if there's no reason for it, I don't see anything that's broke on it at this point. So I say leave it the way it is. I agree, Mary. Thank you.
Okay,
So what we need is just a motion to recommend to city council that no changes occur on Booth Kelly, or I guess it is all city soft pass. Because we don't want to just say one over the other.
Mr. Chair. On behalf of the committee, I recommend to the mayor and city council that we leave the pathways as is, as we had them before last year, and not make any recommendations whatsoever at this time for the pathways and bicycles use.
Agreed. All agreed. Does that work, Brian?
Yep. Nope. It's on the record.
Number 3 is a committee table on concerts in the park discussion. This is one that I proposed. I thought last year we tried discussing the new developments in the park, the new improvements. But I think we missed a boat. I think we should be speaking about the pavilion particularly. I think we need to address the problems with the pavilion, its state of repair to the public. That's why everybody is there. Everybody should be able to recognize the pavilion and we can achieve this by photographing the problems, by having a poster or whatever set up to describe the problems and ask for either skilled craftspeople and maybe come forward or donors to help to come forward to help get the repairs done on the parks, on the pavilion. And if we wanted to do it, we're probably too late for tomorrow night, but we could, try and get something out for next week.
If you have someone available, I could email Megan and see. I don't know that there
I
would
talked
be
to,
space
I
for
talked to
you.
Megan today and she does have a table area
Okay.
reserved for parks if they move forward with this. I told her we'd bring it up tonight at the
Okay,
meeting.
is taking photos? I mean, we need to show what's going on there to the public. Is that a practical way? Does anybody have a better suggestion? How we can address the lack of repair to the pavilion?
That would probably be helpful for those who are interested.
Yeah. Does this sound like something people want to participate in? Last year we didn't, no. We didn't get a lot of response last year. We did talk to people, but I just want to find ways that we can start bringing the city, the public into this and get more participation.
Brian, do you have a list of repairs that need to be done to pavilion?
Yeah, those are in the plan set.
The plans. That's what I was gonna say. If we have a copy of the plan set there, that would be a good start.
Right.
But I think if we wait, go ahead, Mary.
I was gonna say, when we were working at the pavilion yesterday, I walked up into the pavilion just looking in. I don't know if you've noticed, and I think this may have happened since the engineer reviewed it a year ago or so when it had happened. But the seat on the northwest corner of the pavilion structure, the first board has broken off and the facing underneath it is missing and the block on the right-hand side is split. So the seat rocks. So
Safety issue.
that one definitely needs some repair.
So there's a seat that's broke. And did you say something about the rock, Mary?
It rocks.
Oh, it rocks. Okay.
It's-
I'm sorry, I was writing down what you were trying to say.
I mean,
Okay.
if you look at it, you can see, but there's like a 3x3 support
Slab.
block
Yeah.
underneath the seat. And where the bolts have gone into the concrete, it's split. So that's probably part of the problem. The
Okay.
face piece is gone and the first board is broken. So
We will address that tomorrow morning.
now, since the concert
Yep.
is tomorrow night, that might be, I don't want someone in the band going over and
Just
sitting
sitting down
down
and-
and ended up a little further down than they wanted.
Yep, we'll take care of that in the morning.
Back to working on the repairs. Tom and I noticed who made a lot of contributions originally to putting that pavilion up. And I'm almost wondering, instead of having a table at the concert, if it would be appropriate to go back to some of those businesses and ask them if they would like to help us out to get the repair work done. I think it's worth an ask. And I don't, I'm not really volunteering to ask, but I'm just putting the idea forth. So,
So Adam and I are scheduled to meet this week. We were hoping to do it today, but neither one of us had time to go over the fountain and how we're going to tackle soliciting donations, to get that, knowing that funds for the project are probably gonna come short. So, we don't know how short, because obviously it's not put out to bid yet. But, we're thinking that, we wanna have a plan put together, to go out. So it's possible, I'll talk to Adam in the morning. We're scheduled to meet in the morning on some other things. So I'll ask him in the morning if this is something that he wants to add to that ask.
I believe when we had prior conversations with Mr. Shepherd, he was willing to help with the fountain. I don't know if that still holds, but originally he was.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe the original people that helped with
Mhm.
the pavilion park and that pavilion in particular, that maybe they would be willing to consider that. I think it's worth approaching them.
Worth an ask.
Can't do any more than say no, right?
The only thing that I might add is if you do choose to put a table there, is that you have the donation tax ID number. If people, if you're gonna ask for donations, have what they need to be able to write a check and have the tax ID number available because it's a charitable donation. And then also be prepared to get a lot of questions about what the park is going to look like because there isn't any kind of a photo or anything available right now. So I know those are some things that we talked a little bit about at Main Street, that people are wanting to know
What it
what's it
looks
gonna look like? And at least what's the current plan? So I think, it would be hard to be there and have people ask the Parks Committee and have you say, I don't know, or I
Maybe
don't
we
have
should
it.
put a donation thing over by the restrooms and say, if you're happy, these are here, please contribute. In England, they charge you to use the restrooms, so I'm kind of concerned about not being prepared if we're going to
if we're gonna
ask
do it, we
from
gotta do
there.
it right.
Because last year, no one was lining up to write checks, Claire.
And I'm
These
not
ones
saying
don't-
they will, but if the idea is to try to get donations from the public before we do that, you need to have everything they need to be able to make the donation.
And I guess I'm kind of veering away from that. That's my personal opinion, so.
We have asked the engineers to reach out to Cameron and McCarthy about a rendering for the Pavilion Park. I haven't heard back. I was gone for a little over a week, so I talked to the engineer several times today on many different projects. I just didn't have time to ask her about that. So tomorrow, when I follow up with Adam in the morning about this meeting, I'll see if he can maybe put a bug in the ear and see where we're at with that. Cause that was the whole idea, is to get the rendering out and put up either in the information kiosk or on the pavilion, just so people had an idea of what it was gonna look like.
Well, perhaps we just take our time and let's not rush into this. And I agree with what Mary said. If we're gonna go out there, we need to be prepared and get the information that Claire talked about. So why don't we do everything we can over the next month? These concerts are gonna last till the 28th of August. And that will probably be one of the biggest events of the concert run. So maybe after our next meeting, let's make a decision there. Let's think about it and see what we can get together in the meantime and then address it at our next meeting.
Joe, just wanted to clarify, there is no August meeting.
We're not gonna have an August
No,
meeting.
no.
Okay, I missed that, so.
Might I suggest that something could be written up and posted on the restrooms? It says the restrooms are courtesy of a grant that was awarded. Things are still in progress, but if you're interested in contributing to the park development, contact,
Yeah,
possible to.
I think that was part of the getting a rendering and putting that out with a little bit of summary of what's going on.
Yeah, and it doesn't just have to be there for concerts. It could be up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is there even just a basic, if it's not finalized, didn't they return some sort of a
Well, there are
Draft?
plans. there are plans, that, will be going out to bid here next week. I think it goes out to bid next week. And then it closes at the end of August.
Was there like, it seemed like there was a picture or something, if we could.
There was
even-
no renderings ever done for this. There was some for the planting area.
Yeah, there was something that showed, there was something that was just a colored
Mhm.
picture when we finished that showed the tentative, at least
Mm-hmm.
plan, which probably hasn't changed tremendously. So even that might be helpful.
Flat, it's not,
But you know,
but it's something.
it at least gives you something to point at and show this is what we're planning based on funding. It's in stages. This is our hope for what it looks like when it's completed. I mean, it at least, because there was even questions today about, well, you know, once they put all the sidewalks in and it's like, no sidewalks. I mean, it's little stuff,
Right.
so.
And once they have that, then put it on the digital
Yeah.
outlets.
Put
or
it on-
internet. The city
mean-
Facebook page, I Love Coburg, and then the
Main
the
Streets, if
Main
Megan
Streets,
does her,
and then just
site,
the
you could
city
put
of
it on.
Coburg.
Or even in the kiosk up there.
And
put
the
something.
kiosk also would be great.
That would be a great
Yeah,
place to
because
do it.
people that may not use those websites that come from out of town, if they're there at the concerts and if they happen to wander through, they might look at those.
There's quite a few people that do go
Yes.
through that, so.
Yeah.
and if you have a table there, then it can be at the table and at least we can jot down questions and whatever if we need to.
Brian, are you comfortable writing up something to put?
Well, yeah, we already have a summary. It's a narrative for the bid document that's in the project manual.
Okay.
So that might be what we,
Go off of.
the template.
And add a little thing on there and say,
So just to summarize, the idea of the table is to present an opportunity just to donate to the pavilion, but also at a point of information, just sharing information about the park and the development of the park. And
I think I feel like that's the development of the park is far out. I
Too
was
far
just, yeah, concerned with the
and if-
presenting the problems with the pavilion,
I don't
which is
know.
deterioration.
who would want to man the table? I'm not volunteering.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was thinking like one of those trifold, those, we could just do a billboard, right? Or something where people could walk by and read the information.
Just have,
Huh?
have.
If somebody
station
wants to
up
put the graphic together
there.
and with a phone number or, call this number for information.
Well, maybe we should just table this discussion until Brian can get back with us after his discussion with Adam. And see what,
So what I can do is I can speak with Adam, then I'll get a hold of you, Tom. And then you can individually let everybody know what's going
Where
on.
we're at.
thank you. Okay, very
So-
good. I can do that.
To keep it, from being, let's not email each other or a group is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I think we're probably all fine with Tom working with the city to figure it out. It's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal, so.
All right, we're moving on now to number 4, the work party recap and location for the next one. I believe that's you, Colleen.
Oh, sure. So I didn't remind people about July 8th because I was quite busy. And but evidently 3 committee members, is that correct, Mary?
Yes.
Went to Johnny Diamond Park. I walked by there today, and from the street view, it looks very nice because they just worked at the street and went in and as far as they could without getting too exhausted. And that was very nice. And then on July 15th, on Monday this week, there were 4 of us who went to Pavilion Park and we pulled out a lot of weeds and grass. And that's it. So for August, do we want a work party? And where would we like to be? And when? You want 1 party or 2?
I think we should try 2 again. That was
Okay.
successful.
Right.
And
Oh, I was going to ask Bran, where do you think we could do the most good?
we are going to be out, probably it won't be this week. We're finishing up just two, the major projects that we had going on before we jump into Johnny Diamond Park. We're gonna be at Jacob Spores trimming the laurel hedges. So is there any work out there, at Jacob Spores, that you guys could do?
Yes, the grass is coming through all that bark mulch still. I don't know if we want to do that.
Well, we
That's one thing we could do. And then, yes, go ahead.
ahead of it, yes, I think.
Ahead of pulling out those long roots.
So, would the committee and the city be okay if we daub the grass with, a vinegar solution, a 30% vinegar solution, and to see how that would go?
I think that that's a very appropriate. It's organic. It's not going to hurt anybody. Yeah, I think that that is definitely allowable.
Okay,
Makes sense.
And I'm thinking maybe we just
Okay,
go around the edge of the circle as well as maybe get everything, so.
sure. Okay, so,
Have a dauber.
okay. We want to do that, stick with Mondays, do that the 12th,
On
then
Monday the 12th.
Monday the 12th.
Okay.
And then, do you want to try again for another one and do Norma Pfeiffer? We could work in the Rose Garden, and then there's a couple of landscape areas just right next to the path, the snowberries. Get those trimmed up.
Oh,
Is that
okay.
okay?
Yeah,
Yeah, that would work.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, so,
If you want to have an alternate for the 12th,
okay,
go down and kind of, it shouldn't take long.
No, I don't, yeah, you're probably right, Mary. Probably don't need them.
Don't need a
Yeah,
whole
for-
crew.
well,
to
we're
do
party
that.
for the 12th, you mean, or
Yeah,
at Jacob's
do
Spores?
Jacob Spores, I mean,
Okay,
unless you see something else down there you want us to do.
Yeah, it'll be definitely, the work that we're doing there will definitely happen before the 12th. So if something else comes up there, we can let you know.
if the, Public Works is going to be mowing and also taking care of the blackberry vines that go across the bridge.
Mhm.
Cause they're starting to go across, but, if there's an issue, we can always work on blackberry vine. But anyway,
I guess we could meet I'll try to do it ahead of time.
okay, and if you don't want to do it on the 12th, then that's fine.
And we
Okay.
can kind of see how it turns out. You
Oh,
may still have to
I
go
want
in
to go
there.
out and do some more.
You
Okay,
may have to go ahead and pull but if we wait till the 12th, it's probably gonna be a.
okay, well, we'll start with the 12th and then on the 26th, then should we do, go to Norma Pfeiffer? What do you think?
Yeah, we should, maybe even leave that one open and find out, the results of,
Johnny
city's
Diamond?
efforts down at
Okay.
Johnny Diamond,
Okay,
which will be the next discussion.
Walk
Okay.
by there frequently. We can check and see if it's working.
okay. All right, so we will tentatively do Norma on the 26th or AD. Johnny Diamond.
Okay,
Thank you.
and that brings us then to Johnny Diamond's Park major maintenance update.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I just wanted to give you guys a real quick update on where we're at. The park, as you guys know, for that week of July 29th, the park will be closed. Most likely be closed until we are done with the work that we need to do in there. So first thing we're going to be doing is contractor's going to come in and spray the weeds. And they are using some Roundup. I don't know if there was any other, was there any other chemical? It was just Roundup, the glyphosate. Glyphosate. Yep. So, like I said, the park's gonna be closed. No one will be able to get in there. That'll happen early in the week. And then towards the end of the week or middle of the week, we'll be in there mowing everything down, everything that was sprayed. We're going to be trimming back a lot of those rose bushes with the thorns. They're causing the neighbors some havoc on the fence and growing through there. They're growing into the path. It's just they're a little bit, I wouldn't say hazardous, but they are a pain in the butt. So that'll happen. At the same time, we're going to be in there sanding and staining and possibly rebuilding the swing that's out there and the benches. And then towards the end of the week, Lane Forest is going to come in and blow in 4 inches of bark mulch through all of the plantings, except for the front planting area, because obviously that's round rock, right? So irrigation is going to be turned off in the planting areas for that time. Dax is going to be hand watering the trees that we've planted for Arbor Day. At the same time, we're going to also be bringing in the playground chips for the swing area and that little area with the log and the table. And then we're also going to bring in 6 inches of playground chips at Norma Pfeiffer Park Playground. So that will all get taken care of in that 2-week time frame there.
Brian, have you ever thought about putting horse mats down under the swings and the chips on top of them?
We have not discussed any of that, to kind of
Seems to
protect the,
help.
yeah,
Because it's a cushion and then it doesn't.
yeah, we don't get yeah. That's actually a good idea, and we have not thought about
I
that.
can't remember what park I was at that had those, and basically they were just under the swings and
Yeah,
you put chips under them and so it's still a cushion.
so it's possible that once we get everything leveled out, that might be a good idea to do. It would eliminate those having to go in there and rake out the fall zones all the time.
If I just might make a comment about the roses. That is a running rose. It runs underground, but by stoloniferous. Anyway, the only way of getting rid of it, you can't cut it off. You have to dig and chase the
Yeah,
runner
so
back.
I don't think the idea, Tom, was to remove. It was just to go in there and trim them back and get them away from the fence. I think for us to go in there to do the work that we've scheduled to do, to add removing those would be, I don't think we wouldn't be able to finish everything.
Mhm.
So the idea is to go in there and just really kind of get them back to, not make them look crappy.
Manicured.
Yeah, manicured. But somewhere in between those two, right?
Uh-huh.
It's just, we're gonna try our best to make everything look good when we're done. That's the idea.
Okay, good. I'm happy to hear this.
Next year, when we roll into the, vegetation management plan, each park will be listed in that plan, and Johnny Diamond might have some removal and replacement items for plantings.
Mhm.
So at that time, we might look at that,
Okay.
Tom,
All right.
removing those and planting something else that, isn't so cumbersome in the future.
Yeah, that could be, just instead of removing, just putting barriers up to that underground movement of the runners. It could effectively stop it too.
Does anybody have any questions about the Johnny Diamond maintenance?
That's
You're-
good.
You're bringing in a contractor from out of town to do that spraying?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Licensed and bonded contractor
Oh, okay.
that does that for a living.
Oh, good.
Yep.
All right.
We contacted several. There was 2 that were, one doesn't do that. So, contacting that contractor, one doesn't do that type of work. One was way outside the area. One was fairly low on their price, and we did not feel comfortable with that contractor. So we went with a contractor that had very good reviews, a lot of 5-star reviews. So that's the contractor we decided on.
Be interested to see what you do with the aspen, how you're gonna address that problem.
Yeah,
So what did you call, you said you're focusing on John and Diamond, but you also have a plan going forward,
Our vegetation management,
vegetation management.
Yep.
Cause I feel like as we develop our parks, we're all learning, right?
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you, I've been reading about the EPA and they're starting like expanding more things they're testing for in like public waters.
Mhm.
And so I know you're miles ahead and I can see that you're doing everything you can to be careful what you spray. But what was your thought on that? I mean, I'm sure you've thought about it.
So
I'm
that-
curious.
that definitely is going to be part of that plan.
Okay.
At the last meeting we had, we talked, when Adam was here, we talked, kind of a great lengths of what's going to go into the plan, when we're going to talk about, the outline of the plan. I think in September, when we meet in September, when you guys meet in September, I won't be here. The outline will be ready for you to kind of look at
Because it
what
seems
that,
that keeping the chemicals out of the water in the first place is so much less expensive than removing them
Yeah.
when they're in there. So just that, keeping that in mind with the plan.
no, that's part of the thought process that we have. Yeah. We want to try and move towards a glyphosate-free environment, and that is the one major chemical that's in Roundup that has been known to cause cancer. But it is one of the best chemicals to use to control vegetation. Right? So it's something that we haven't done before. And in the plan, it might be spelled out that, we try very hard not to use it, but we use it sparingly in places that we can. And these are the precautions that we're taking when we use it and how often.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Administration report.
You want to talk about the restrooms?
Oh, I forgot. Okay, didn't write that down. Yes.
Who brought that up?
Well, I
Oh.
did. So when we were working in the park in Pavilion yesterday, I was told that the restrooms were now open and people have used them. So I went in one and I was disgusted by how filthy it was already. And yeah, it really made me sad.
What
So I don't know how often will the restrooms be cleaned daily?
they get cleaned daily.
Okay,
We
yeah.
obviously we can't be there
for
every
sure.
minute of the day,
Oh,
right?
I know now. Yeah,
So
I know. But
um
I was just surprised. People are not careful with
so
their elimination.
yeah. So when you see something like that, please call.
Oh,
Because
okay.
if we don't know that somebody's made a mess,
Well,
it
was it?
sits there for the rest of the day and then we can't get there until the next morning. So it's very helpful if people call and say, hey, the bathrooms are disgusting.
Well, it'll probably be that way after tomorrow night. I mean, Thursday morning, it'll probably look like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are disgusting.
Yep. And we deal with that with the bathrooms
I
at Norma
know.
constantly. I was in there this morning checking them out and I thought, all you have to do is flush the toilet. That's all you have to do.
That too. People are aimed better too.
Yeah, yes. So
Anyway,
that is
that was my
something that,
comment. Other than that, they're fine,
Yeah,
you know.
great. So there'll be some signage posted tomorrow that doesn't have any details on why it's there, but some ADA temporary, and it's going to speak to they're only open temporary through August, July and August, and closed again in September when the construction works starts. Yes, ma'am.
Get remote locks put on them.
No,
Yes.
haven't had time to even dive into, because we want to do them for that restroom and Norma Pfeiffer at the same time. But yes, those are going on there. Yep.
So you're manually locking them at night then?
No, they're open 24/7.
There you go.
Just like Norma Pfeiffer. We have we don't have any mechanism to have Public Works come in at,
At 10 o'clock.
9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whenever the park closes. to lock them. We do have a way to open them, but we just don't, at this time, we don't have anybody that's available. Or we, really don't want to spend overtime
How
every
much
day.
those electric locks are.
I think the last quote we got was for Norma Pfeiffer. I believe it was $6,000.
It was just to do that one.
Just to do that
What's the
one restaurant.
purpose of the electric locks?
Is to be able to put them on timers, so they close at a certain time of day and then they open back up at a certain time of day.
That to prevent crime at night?
Yes, yes, the excessive vandalism that's happening at Norma Pfeiffer.
And people get out after they lock?
We will make sure that the ones we buy do, yes.
You gotta be able to, don't want to spend the night in there.
Or there's a panic button in there that says, please help me.
You said the end of August, you're gonna lock them down. Is that gonna be after or before the antique fair?
It's after the antique fair.
After the September 8th?
Yep.
Okay, that was my, thank you.
Okay, I guess.
I have one little thing since we're talking about volunteers, is it possible to put the volunteer form up on the website so people could just fill it out that way if they decided they wanted to go pull?
Like a
weight?
fillable form on the website? I
Yeah.
think that is definitely something that we want to move to. A more interactive website is what we're looking at doing, Mary. And we're not there yet.
Okay,
We're still trying to figure out who on staff is gonna manage the website. It seems like everybody kind of manages a certain
own
piece of it, but a major website upgrade, I believe, is being spoke about. It's not been put into motion yet. But fillable forms is definitely something we want to move to.
so I know there was some, I'm reluctant to bring it up, but I know there was some chatter on Facebook about the parks. And I always want people to be proactive. So I was thinking if there was an opportunity for people to be able to fill out the forms online, which makes it as convenient for them as possible. And to know that they can go on their own, as long as we have the forms, they can go on their own and weed, deadhead the roses, whatever. They can do that. They don't have to be with our committee group on the
Specific
third
days.
Monday of the month. So if you've got kids that you're taking to the park and you've got a few, extra minutes on your hands, you can reach down and pull weeds. So,
Well,
since people were really concerned about one particular park, I just think if there's ways we can be proactive, it would be really nice to, when they have that, to have suggestions for them to help out.
I totally agree.
It's not
I
just
don't
the
think,
City, and it's not just this committee.
Yep.
The parks belong to everybody in Coburg, and so,
while we would never tell anybody if you bend over and pull a weed, you should first fill out a form. If they want to pull weeds. But what we do want to do is make sure that we know who's doing what where, right? So if somebody wants to go deadhead roses, I think this committee would agree that we just don't want somebody out there doing something that they don't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
I
Or
think
pulling
that-
the wrong weeds.
Yeah,
maybe plants that
doing damage
they
to
don't know what
something
they're
and
talking
not,
about.
checking in and saying, hey, I'm going to be out here. This is what we're thinking about doing. I know it sounds cumbersome, or, maybe overreach, but I think we all would agree that we would like some sort of oversight of what people are and when they're there and what they're doing. I think that that's important. And I think anybody that would be volunteering would agree that, having them put a pile in the park and not letting us know that they've put a pile in the park of weeds, we want to know about that right away so we can go out there and take and handle that. So I think there's a way, there's a pathway to do everything that you said, Mary, and everything that I said. I think that we can do that. I just don't know how close we are to getting that on the website and getting that to be a fillable form. I don't know if it's going to be this summer, maybe this fall, maybe this winter. But I think definitely in the next, 8 or 9 months, we can have something that is usable and maybe some rules on there of, if you're going to be in the park, please let, Tom Beatty, the chair, know that this is where I'm going to be. And if Tom feels like you want to go and, be there with the person while they're doing something, so we have that oversight. I don't mind doing that or sending, one of the crew members out there to kind of see what's going on, but I would hate to see us just allow,
I
willy-nilly.
guess there's, I see that end of it. I'm not so concerned that people are gonna go out and do major stuff. But if they have a small sack with them and they see weeds and can pick them up, put them in the sack and even drop them in the trash can or take them home and throw away. I would like to encourage that, just as we have people that go for a walk and pick up trash on their walk.
sure. Yep.
So I'm thinking small scale, not I'm gonna go out with and prune. the
So,
tree.
and maybe
So-
though, and Mary, somewhere in the middle could be something on the website of, if you want to pull weeds on your morning walk in the city of Coburg's park system, here's what we recommend you do.
Or specific areas.
Yeah.
This month, we are beautifying this area if you get a chance and would like to. Yeah.
What I'm thinking is when Louisiana had a hurricane, they just sat and waited for the government to do something and it was just, and then when Texas had a hurricane, they just got out there and everyone took care of each other. I think we want to cultivate a community where we're all rolling up our sleeves and getting in there. So expressing that somehow on the
Yeah.
website is what we're saying. And I think we could also add in, we want to recognize your community service by, honoring you for the hours you're putting in and, make some positive things about. This
Yeah,
is
I
just
think
a-
that, I think there's definitely way we can shape this, mold this into, a really nice ask, like what Claire was just speaking to of, saying, hey, the month of August is, pull weeds in Norma Pfeiffer. If you see a weed, pull it, snap a picture and send it to the city of Coburg's Facebook page, right? Or I love Coburg, just to, say, hey, look what I did, and then maybe that promotes some, some ownership outside of this group, because I feel like a lot of the lion's share of the burden falls on this group to get out there, and not everybody on the group can go out and do the work parties, right? So the segment of people segmented to do that work. And I think that if we can broaden the horizons without getting out of that volunteer form, I think that's
Maybe
important.
Pauline mentioned at the work party about, there may be a group within a business that they dedicate a day of service and they go clean a park.
And that could be part of this program is, reaching out to those, businesses. Tom, he's a pretty good speaker. You could go to these businesses and as the chair of the committee and just say, hey, look, we'd have to get some sort of ground rules laid out. But if we give you a one sheet to say, hey, this is what we're thinking, would your company be interested in doing, some community service work in Norma Pfeiffer Park, painting picnic tables or, pulling weeds at Jacob Spores or,
What if
That
you
sort
did
of thing.
something with the businesses like adopt a park? And then when that park needed attention, you could let the group that adopted the park know, these are the things that need to be done. When are you available to come help? If they actually adopt a park, then it'd be easy to say, hey, we're doing whatever. in your park that you've adopted, when is a good time for you to do a work party? And I think if people have in their head, this is what we're responsible for, and it could even be, posted that this business or this neighborhood group chose to adopt this park. And kind of reach out that way, it makes it in zones, so it isn't we need 3 things done in 3 different places, but this is the park that needs attention and you adopted the park. Let people know that we're gonna, we need your help. And I think if businesses know ahead of time, they do show up, and the industrial park might be a great place to hit up for something like that.
Cummins used to do a
Mhm,
lot
mhm.
for us. I know one year they did all the picnic tables. And then Burke reminded me that I guess Cummins did the chips on Booth Kelly Trail. So if they're still doing that, maybe Cummins could do some improvement on the pavilion if we have the supplies for them. So,
And
yeah,
that could come under an adopt a park, and then you
Sure.
reach out to businesses and let them know.
they're
this
still
is what we
doing that
need.
with their employees. Yeah, I don't. think they-
Rexius might be willing to adopt a
Rexius does that.
park or adopt the trail systems, or,
We're good.
Again, if you get like with picnic tables that need resurfaced and painted or something like that, talk to the fire department. Cause we've got guys that are there all day long and they're not busy all the time and
maybe those
Maybe.
guys would adopt a park or adopt a
Yeah.
project.
exactly. So
Tom, would you be willing to maybe swing by my office early next week and sit down and go over putting a program together?
Of course.
That kind of encompasses the volunteer stuff, keeping in that that model, because
Huh?
obviously if we start straying out of that, I'm gonna have to deal with that, and I don't want to deal with that
Okay,
unless I
that's a
have
good
to.
idea.
But maybe formalizing a program that we can utilize.
That sounds like a good idea.
And then you can report back to the committee on,
Excuse me, yes, okay,
okay, so maybe Monday at noon, shoot me a text and
okay,
we can set a time.
You bet. Monday at noon. All
Yep.
right. Okay, now we're ready for administration's report.
Yeah, the very first item is the Johnny Diamond Park major maintenance. If you guys want to read through that, it kind of spells out what I spoke to earlier. Does anybody have any questions about anything in the city administrator's report?
Well, everybody's really busy.
Yeah, yeah.
You
That
didn't know
should be
that, did ya?
that should be the very first line in bold capital letters, that everybody is very busy.
okay, so I guess everybody's,
Does the city trim the ones on the branches on the trees on Covered Road? The trucks do a pretty good job of it, but is that
On-
city or county?
So when you say Coburg Road, are you talking inside or outside?
Willamette.
On South Willamette, yes, we do. Trees do a pretty good, or the trucks do a pretty good job in the roadways. But we have been working up and down all of the streets, Willamette, Van Dyne, Pearl. I think we're working our way out Pearl and then working our way back down South Willamette.
When the trucks do them, they don't always clean up their limbs, so.
Yeah, and
There's a few limbs down
Out
on
there right
Willamette
now.
Street.
yeah, they were there
Yeah,
today. when I
so,
come through.
a lot of times, like this time of year, oversized farm equipment does that for us. And so if we don't see them by the next morning, they'll just sit there. So it's kind of like the restrooms. If somebody sees something out there that needs to be addressed, please don't hesitate to call. That's what we're here for, especially if it's a hazard. If it's a hazard, we need to know about it. If we don't know about it, we can't see everything. So if people don't call, it's kind of like a water leak. Most of the time, the sewer calls don't happen until late at night because they've heard this buzzer all day. They've pressed the button and now it's going off again at 10 o'clock at night. If we don't know about it early, we can't get to it early. So
I usually just pull them over, put them in the easement.
And you know what?
Get 'em
That's,
off the sidewalk and I figure when they mow, they'll find them, so. they
but
keep looking.
Mary, if you do that, don't hesitate to call. So I can just say, I can tell the guys, hey, there's a limb out here. And typically they're out there in 10 minutes to get the limb. Depends on what we're doing.
I know they're busy and it's, as long as they're out of the right, or they're not on the sidewalk or the street, then I figure. Okay,
The old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, is a true statement. If no one calls, and I don't say, hey, you guys need to go take care of this, sometimes it sits there for a little bit before they see it. All right, does anybody else have any questions? Again, there is no meeting in August. There are no city meetings in August, so don't feel like you're the only ones. We're not having any, so.
made up for that in July.
And we did in June, in April and May and.
Hey, Claire, anything from the council?
Brian pretty much covered the question about the trails, and in the city administrator's reports and the minutes, there's, we're looking at budget, how it's going to affect every area of the city, and some ideas for fees or how these will be restructured, and so just be aware and,
So I guess,
start to pick up the minutes and read through them, because you may pick up something that I've missed or Brian's missed.
We do have a new city councilor. Did you want to?
Yes, we do. Jason Bauman
Jason,
is our new, Jameson
Jemison.
Bauman is our new city councilor. And he's very excited to be a part of council, and he'll bring a really nice perspective that we haven't had on council. He's young, he's knowledgeable, and he's very excited.
Full of energy is.
Full of
Lot of energy, very much so.
And willing to ask the hard questions. At his first meeting, there was, and he was well informed by the time he was seated. He had hoped that would happen, and he had done a lot of homework. And you'll see him out there, and he'll probably ask you some questions and interact.
Is that the young man in the wheelchair? Okay, I know him. Yes, I didn't know his name was Jameson, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, he's a smart guy.
I know. Yeah, fun.
Okay, so I guess the one thing, the takeaway is that we all need to remember to bring in our volunteer hours for the
Volunteer.
week to each meeting and present them to Claire.
Brian, would it be acceptable for them to email my counselor email with those individually? Would that be easier? Or is it better to just have it a part of our minutes here?
I think that, let me get back to you on that one, because I don't want to say yes and then
Yeah, and I'm not-
Sammy go, wait a minute.
So for now, if you bring them to the meetings and report it, then I'll be able to,
But we were bringing them in and giving them to the ladies at the front.
and
desk.
they
But
go
that
to
was
the
just
ladies.
Year end. so.
They go to the ladies at the front and at year end, but I think my reason for thinking each meeting is important is council, not just me, but council is very interested in what Parks does. And I think that's good information. And I think it does help drive decisions. It also, those things go to the city, and a lot of times it's not in the wheelhouse of the person that receives and tabulates those to bring them to council. And so I think as liaison, that's a piece that I could carry, that it would get where it needed to go, because there's a lot of different staff members that deal with a lot of different things, and they aren't always at council.
We would need a reminder via email with our packets, please. For myself, anyway.
You wanna
Um,
take
Just
hours
put it on the
down?
agenda.
Huh?
You
Yeah,
want
yeah,
hours
And that
down?
way,
If you have the hours, I think it'd be good to have everybody's hours, but if you have them, great. If you want to wait and start that at the September meeting, that's fine too.
I can give you Michelle and mine right now.
Does anybody else have approximately theirs?
I have mine at home. I could bring.
Why don't we wait and do it in September and just add it as an agenda item
Somebody
then?
will need to remember those other volunteers that are not part of the board.
I'll make sure that it's a standing item on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, and the other volunteers that show up, even if whoever of you is there, record how many volunteers and how many hours.
all
they
right.
worked On maybe the sign-in sheet.
I've got.
That'd be great, yeah.
We need to.
Cause there's no meeting in August anyway, so I'm not gonna report anything before
We
September.
need
I
also.
was gonna
to
say,
this
if you
meeting.
wanted it now, I've got it, so, but you're
She
just
said-
meeting in August anyway.
It's
so-
not-
Lose it by then.
Okay, darn, I'm on top of it once, you don't need it.
Keep that thought.
Did the volunteer hours also include coming to this meeting?
It does. I think it might be helpful to list, we know what the meeting hours are by who's in attendance. I mean, I can figure that one out, but I think outside of the meeting hours is really important. And
Okay,
even if it's researching plants online for parks or studying anything you put into parks,
mhm,
recorded on your volunteer sheet.
okay, yeah, so there's.
And
4
what do
hours.
you want me to take to council? The Monday meeting that you're looking at?
Yeah, well, that and we're still as a committee here, still planning to work 2 different events per
Yeah.
month in the parks
rush
for
hour.
cleanups. And otherwise, we're kind of tabling until we hear back from Brian and Adam about the Pavilion Park discussion.
Okay.
Tom, when we meet on Monday, we'll have a little bit more information on
okay.
that too.
All right,
And Brian can bring that to, during his report to council if
that's,
that doesn't have to go through me, so.
I think that's it. I can't. Move that we adjourn.